Hello, my beautiful and handsome students. So before we formally start this session, let's have a prayer first. So who will lead the prayer? Anyone? Any volunteers? Okay, so I will be the one who will pick. Yes, Miss Lyra. Very good. Now let's bow down our head for Miss Lyra will be leading the prayer. For now, I would like everyone to reflect with these questions. Have you ever wondered how distinct your things are from each other? While cleaning in your room, do you segregate each group of objects according to their similarities? Ayan, no? The way we group things has something to do with sets. Now, writing a set is equivalent to sorting random things so that it will be organized and be clean. Given that you already know how to sort different objects relative to its characteristics by set, list elements by roster method or tabular form, and specify properties or general rules which are acceptable to all the elements by set builder notation, let's dig deeper and discover more about set. Now with that, allow me to introduce our learning objectives. At the end of this session, the students will be able to define well-defined sets, finite sets, infinite sets, null sets, subsets, proper subsets, universal sets, and complement and cardinality of sets, illustrate the union and intersection of sets and the difference of two sets, apply Venn diagrams to represent sets, subsets, and set operations, and lastly, solve problems involving sets. Let us review first the sets and its elements and the two methods of representing a set. As you can see, I have here a variety of things: building blocks, ball pen, notebook, playing cards, toy car, calculator, and dictionary. Now, using your knowledge about the two methods of representing a set, now I want you to group these things according to their similarities. Now, afterwards, let's have at least 2 volunteers to explain why this and that form a group.
A few minutes later.
Are we all done? Very good, students. Now, the answer for number 1 is the set containing school supplies, which are ball pen, notebook, calculator, and dictionary. For number 2 is the set consists of toys such as toy car, building blocks, and playing cards. Now, who got the correct answers? Please raise your right hand. Let me see. Okay, may I request Mr. Lance to explain his answer? Okay, so you're saying that this ball pen, notebook, calculator, and dictionary form a group because these are the things that we use for school. Ayan, very good, Mr. Lance. You're right. Now, what type of method did you use? Is it the roster method or the set builder notation? So you use roster method instead of set builder notation, so meaning to say you list down all the elements. Now, may I see your work, Mr. Lance? Show it to the screen. Ayan. Class, I want you to look at the work of Mr. Lance. He enumerates the school supplies inside the bracket. Thank you for that, Mr. Lance. Let's give him an ang galing clap. 1, 2, ang galing. 1, 2, ang galing. 1, 2, ang galing-galing. Ayan. Okay, so how about the number 2? Who got the correct answer? Let me see. Anyone? No one got the correct answer? Oh, John, I saw that you raised your hand. Did you get the correct answer? Very good, John. Now, what method did you use? So your answer is excellent, Mr. John. Can you please show your answer to your classmates? Place your notebook on the screen. Ayan. Now, as you can see, class, his answer is X such that X is a school supply. Now, this means that all elements of the set possess a single property, which is the school supply. Class, do you agree with the answer of Mr. John? Now, thumbs up if you agree with this answer. Ayan, I can see that all of you agree with him. Very good, students. Now, I'm glad that you all remember our previous discussions. Okay, so let's proceed to the finite sets and the infinite sets. Now, I want you to identify whether the set that I will be presenting is finite or infinite. Just write finite if you think the set is finite based on the word itself. Otherwise, write infinite if it is not. Now, make sure you have your ballpen and notebook with you. Now, just jot down your answer as I show the set one by one. Yan, so for number 1, for number 2, for number 3, for number 4, for number 5. Now, these are the days of the week except Thursday. And lastly, yan. By the way, class, I want you to answer this activity based on your prior knowledge. Now, this will tell us how far your knowledge is about sets. Okay, class, let's check your answers. Now, I noticed that most of you get confused at the items 3, 4, and 6, which are the set of months, set of even numbers, and set of grade levels. I think the ellipsis there confuses you. Now, let me discuss first what finite set is all about, and so is the infinite set. Now, take note that if the number of elements in a set can be counted, and the process of counting terminates at a certain natural number, then the set is said to be a finite set. Now, let's take a look at the sets given. Now, number 1 is a finite set since the less than there signifies the boundary of the range x is greater than 1 and x is less than 50. For number 2 is actually the same with number 1. Now, whereas in number 3, now did you notice that there exist 3 dots between the elements? Now, we call these ellipses. Now, you have to remember that when you see an ellipsis between the elements, now it implies that the elements continue from the element before the ellipsis until the element after the ellipsis. So meaning to say the set is considered finite because the elements terminate at a certain month, the December in particular. Now, on the other hand, the set is called infinite if it is not possible to explicitly list out all of the elements. For number 4, class, ayan, is this an infinite set or not? So there is an ellipsis there after the 16. Yes, Mr. Blake, go ahead. Now, share your thoughts with us. It's infinite because there's an ellipsis? Class, if the set has ellipses, it doesn't automatically mean that it's an infinite. Now, thank you for trying, Mr. Blake. Now, who wants to answer? Raise your right hand, please. Yes, Miss Kaylee. What's the answer? I want to hear your explanation on why this set is called infinite. Can you please explain it to the class? It's okay. Sige, do you want to call a friend? Class, who wants to help Miss Kaylee? Yes, Miss Samantha. So you say that the set is infinite because there are no numbers left after the ellipsis? Yes, exactly. You're right, Samantha. So that's the answer that I've been looking for. Now, I hope it's clear to everyone about the difference between finite and infinite sets. Since you are already knowledgeable with distinct definitions of sets and its subsets, let's watch a video concerning union and intersection of sets using Venn diagram.
In this lecture, we will describe several operations which can be performed on sets such as intersections and unions, and see how these relations and operations can be visualized graphically by using what is called a Venn diagram. Disjoint sets have no elements in common. If the two circles overlap, this indicates that there are one or more elements common to both sets. The intersecting area represents elements that are members of both A and B. This collection of common elements is called the intersection of sets A and B. We denote set intersection by a symbol which looks like an inverted U. Another important set operation is the union of set. The union of two sets, A and B, includes all elements which are members of either A or B. If sets A and B have any elements in common, then these elements which are members of both sets are only included once in the union. For example, if set A contains the elements 1, 2, and 3, and set B contains 2, 3, and 4, then the elements which are members of A or B are 1, 2, 3, and 4. This union forms a new set containing the elements 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Now, after watching the video, in what ways does Venn diagram help us understand the relationship of sets? Now, when you hear the word Venn diagram, what word can you think of? Yes, very good. Now, some of you say that representation, and some also say that circle. Now, most of you say visual. Now, actually, your answers are all correct. Venn diagrams enable us to organize information visually so that we are able to see the relationships between 2 or 3 sets of items through overlapping circles. So each circle contains all the elements of a set. If there are elements where the circles overlap, then it tells us that these sets have something in common, and this common signifies their similarities. Otherwise, their intersection is empty set. Now, moreover, the elements where the circles do not overlap represent the differences of sets. Now, for the union of sets in the context of Venn diagram, it is the combination of elements inside or outside where the circles overlap. Now, we just have to remember that the repeating elements in the sets are only written once. So, for instance, I have here 2 circles, A and B, or what we call sets comprising exclusive elements. Now, if we overlap these 2 circles, what do you think will happen? Yes, you're right, Mr. Christian. The common elements of 2 sets will be placed here in the middle. So it will be looked like this. This is now the virtual representation of 2 sets having an intersection. This is actually how Venn diagram works. Now, we can easily represent the relationship of sets. Now, what if we have set containing all the elements of the other set? The Venn diagram of these 2 sets will be looked like this. Now, this implies that the smaller circle is the subset of the bigger circle. We have to note here that if the subset has the same elements with the set, then they are called equal sets. Now, take note that equal sets and equivalent sets are different from each other. We also have universal set being represented by Venn diagram, but before we proceed, we will be having a stretching because I can see that some of you are sleepy. Now, I want you to shake your hands in 8 seconds. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so are we all good? Can we all have a virtual fist bump before we proceed? Very good, students. Now, have you ever wondered how a universal set is represented using Venn diagram? Now, suppose we have 2 sets here represented by circles. The elements outside the circles are the elements found in universal set. Thus, the universal set represents all the elements which is illustrated by rectangle. Now then, this implies that the union and intersection of 2 sets are considered as subsets of universal set. So the universal set along with its subsets will be looked like this, with the letter U, which means universal set. Now, how about the complement of set? How is it explained by the Venn diagram? Now, if we have 2 sets again, say A and B, and if we cut out the set A, then the remaining region will be complement of set A. So the visual representation of this will be looked like this. Complement of set A. Okay, so that concludes my discussion about sets. Now, do you have any questions, clarifications, violent reactions? Okay, I assume that you already understand my discussion. Now, since we are running out of time, kindly take this quiz as your assignment. We will also have a summative assessment next meeting, so please don't forget to study and practice all the things that I have discussed for you to master this lesson. Now, let's end this session with a prayer. Miss Rachel, can you please lead the prayer? So thank you everyone for participating in this session. You may now leave the